Throughout history, there were many different torture methods used upon people who were captured. The point of torture was to extract information from someone which was of importance, and devices such as a rack were used for this. This was a stretching device, and it caused immense pain, and also killed even one priest hider during the Tudor period, as he was subjected to harrowing internal injuries caused by the rack. Other torture methods were devised during the Second World War, and this included the bogus swing, used inside of Auschwitz, where prisoners were hoisted up into the air, and they were then battered by concentration camp guards. However, another method used during World War II, and throughout the centuries, was known as a mock execution, and this was a shocking ordeal in which someone believed that they were going to be executed and killed, but instead this was done to induce someone to give information, and often weapons were defunct which were aimed at a victim, and sometimes even fired. Welcome to the Fortress. Join us today as we look at mock execution, one of the most brutal torture methods, and to support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. Mock execution is a strategy deployed by different arresting forces and officers, and with this the victim or prisoner was deliberately made to believe that their life was about to come to an end. But this is not the case, and this is false, and often it is made so that the execution is going to be carried out, and that firing squads, for example, are gathered, and they're even stood with their rifles pointed, but nothing then happens or blanks are fired towards a target. The other methods used for mock execution include blindfolding a victim and telling them they're about to die, or asking for their final words. Some were even forced to dig their own graves before they were told to stand inside of them, while someone pointed a weapon at their heads. One even more savage part of the ordeal could be the gun being pointed at someone and then the trigger actually being pulled, but this weapon would have no ammunition or bullets inside of it. The mock execution is a brutal and ruthless piece of psychological terror, and the fear induced when a person was made to feel like their death was coming was supposed to be a last attempt to gain information. It can cause a huge amount of damage psychologically after the release of a prisoner, and conditions such as depression or PTSD, such as the psychological pain. There are some examples of this being used throughout history. One of the most famous victims of this was the writer Fyodor Dostoevsky, who was alongside other members of a political group convicted of high treason. He was sentenced to death by a firing squad, but in secret these sentences were commuted to hard labour, but the prisoners were told of this after the preparations for the execution had been carried out, and one image even shows the men being tied to stakes opposite a firing squad in front of their graves. During the Second World War there were examples of this being done by different armies. The German armies performed mock execution against a member of the French resistance known as Georges Blind, and he actually smiled at the firing squad. But despite the mock execution, he refused to provide information, and the firing squad were then sent away, and he was actually sent to a concentration camp, where he was thought to have been executed in late 1944. This torture has also been used a number of times throughout the centuries and decades, as in 1968 the commander of the USS Pueblo, Lloyd M. Boucher, was subjected to the same treatment using a mock firing squad by North Korean interrogators, and American hostages held in Iran in 1979 were also subjected to it. Inside of Abu Ghraib prison, following the American invasion of Iraq, there were many accounts of torture at the hands of the US guards, and some of the prisoners were photographed undergoing a mock execution. Mock execution was a rough and terrifying ordeal, and it was something very hard for someone to experience, knowing that their death was soon coming, and the belief of this is something that some people believed was enough for them to give over information. Thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.